Continuing on the topic of industry cooperation and leadership, we have invited 3 different airline representatives from 3 different areas, from Mexico, from Japan, and from the United Arab Emirates, to see how these people in their airlines are showing leadership, how they are working on their local and very unique requirements based on their markets. And I would like to ask my 3 panelists to quickly introduce themselves, and then we will start seeing that we get answers to a couple of questions that I have written down here.
Hi everyone, I'm Edgar Arcoverde. I've been in the industry for 31 years, different areas, more recently working with Qatar Airways and lately with Aeromexico for 3 years in revenue management.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. I'm Keiji Omae of All Nippon Airs. I'm Vice President of the Marketing Sales to Americas. But before that current position, I've been for long years working for the revenue management in the head office.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Martin Dunn. Work for Etihad Airways as a head of pricing strategy. Also been in the industry quite a long time, over 30 years. Majority of that in revenue management.
Okay, and I'm Frank Sosha. Most of you know me as the London guy. I'm running the London office for ATPCO. Now, our first question, Edgar. Looking at your market, what is unique in the area in terms of, let's say, distribution, in terms of direct connect, whatever is the requirement to conquer your market and to respond to the requirements that are so unique to the Mexican market?
Yeah. So Mexico, we have 46% of our population is under 24 years old. So that tells us about what kind of customers we have and what kind of customers we're going to have in the future. So it's a population that, like in many other countries, I'm sure, maybe not with that share of 24% under 24, 26%, they are a population that is completely immersed in technology, in being connected. And we thought 3 years ago that we really decided to do a digital transformation in Aeromexico, in different areas, our website, internally the way we work, the way we were structured. And basically we launched a new website. I invite you all to visit. They have a different flow, it has some flavor of inspiration that we talked this morning. And that's pretty much, along with that, we also launched the Chatbot recently this year, and it took us 3 months to develop that. I thought it was a good achievement. I mean, they were developed by millennials. Obviously, it was much faster. And I know some airlines that will take 3 months just to take the decision to do it. But we've seen really great results.
Okay.
And that's a way that we can approach this new market that is coming.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Keiji?
Yes. I'd like to introduce you the distribution system for the air ticket in Japan market, which is very unique. In Japan, we have had 2 separated distribution systems. One is for the international air ticket distribution, and others are the domestic one. International one, it's more or less the same as the other markets, but regarding the domestic one, full service carriers in Japan, including ANA, has protected the so-called direct connect environment for long years. I mean that each airline has installed its own CRS terminals to every travel agencies in Japan and has sold the domestic air ticket through those direct connected terminals. This system has once been considered and told to be very out of date as a symbol of the conservative Japan market, you know. But this has suddenly become most advanced trend considering the future NDC world. In my opinion, these are the following 3 points from summarizing the strengths of such a direct connect distribution, which we have learned from our experience. Firstly, the capability to make the highly streamlined process from the reservation and ticketing and through check-in and boarding and to the settlement. And secondly, the capability to sell rapidly the various and very complex fare products. And thirdly and lastly, the capability to have a strong linkage with the database, the customer's database, which enable us to conduct the more efficient one-to-one marketing activities. Very frankly speaking, such an direct connect domestic distribution system is currently facing with other challenges. That is the necessity to advance it to fit more global distribution, to expand its sales outside Japan. But how we can sustain and enhance those strengths with NDC is important to us today. And please allow me to briefly touch one more point about the necessity of the mobile devices. In Japan, and recently, the ratio of the direct channel sales through the mobile devices has been dramatically increased. I think that the ratio is higher than that of the US and Europe. But if we see the other Asian countries' markets, the impact of the mobile devices to the distribution is far more remarkable. From the viewpoint of not only in Japan, but also of the countries in Asia as in general, how we can establish the better distribution system for the mobile-centric world will be the most urgent and important issue for all airlines and its partners, I believe.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I think as we've seen today, there's a lot of change in our industry. There's emerging technologies. And as Etihad, we're certainly keen to see where those technologies go. I'm very keen ourselves to embrace those technologies. I think it's also important to be aware of what is already available to us and what is already out there. In the Middle East, we've got still a pretty strong corporate marketplace. They're quite a demanding group. So we are using express contracts. We've started using express contracts this year to try and address the way that we locally manage, as I said, a very, very demanding sector. We are already seeing some benefits from that. We started using it in January, so we're sort of 2/3 of the year through, and we're definitely seeing some improvement in terms of how quickly we can turn things around. We have seen, in some cases, on the more complex contracts, up to maybe 3 days improvement in terms of getting fares out into the market. So that's a definite benefit that we're seeing. We're also seeing improvements in the efficiencies of our people through getting these fares to market quicker. The process is easier for them, less complex in terms of getting things filed. So it helps us a lot in terms of turning these things around. And while it's never easy to say how much is time to market worth and other efficiencies, we're pretty convinced that the investment we've made on express contracts is more than delivering the benefits in terms of revenue that we're making from these corporate customers.
Thanks, Martin. So what we can see, there is completely different answers from different markets, and I would like to drill a little bit deeper into your responses. Edgar, tell me a little bit about the Chatbot. What is it really achieving for Aeromexico, and how is it appreciated by the younger generation that you mentioned? That obviously represents a large amount of your current and future customers?
Yeah. So even internally in the company, there was some skepticism of how it's going to be used, right? But first of all, it's only the chatbot. It's only in Spanish. We are working in transforming that to English. So that's an example that we launched specific for the market. And the utilization today is higher than when you hit the frequent asked questions in the FAQ in the website. So it grew exponentially, and we also understood and we thought that maybe we can go a step further and using the chatbot, but starting focus more on customer service, not only having a machine answering behind it. So we are testing now WhatsApp customer server, which is a mix of both words. You can ask a question, and if you need to contact an agent directly, that's an option. So we are testing this now because we believe that the customer wants some interaction, but not exactly through a robot. It wants also some contact and keep that kind of relationship with the company. So we really think that this is the way to go. And there's a lot of benefits in terms of cost, obviously, and also there's a lot of work to be done.
Obviously. And what was the feedback from your customers as far as the chatbot is concerned? Has that been accepted by the large majority of
yes,
customers?
Yes, it's been accepted.
Okay,
yes.
Very good. Okay, interesting development. Keiji, your direct connect out of a sudden is so modern, so up to date that you don't have to replace the old system, I guess, right? You just carry on with it. No, I'm sure you will convert this into the latest technology, and I think that NDC certainly is a help. I have a question. When you said that, when you mentioned your 3 advantages that you see from this direct connect operation, is where you say the capability to sell complex fare products. What is a complex fare product by definition?
I see. Complex means that, for example, in Japan, such as domestic fares, domestic fare structure, we have had the very complex fare structure, which is that the daily basis fares and fares by flight. Difference by day or by flight or something. So a huge volume of the number of the fares exists. But because of the direct connect environment, we have been able to provide such an fare products to the markets. Yeah.
All right. So are you now looking into converting this old system into the new technology by using NDC?
Yeah, of course, and we have to pursue the utilization of NDC.
Okay.
This will be the more efficient. And of course, if we consider the ancillary components, how we can combine those fares with ancillary components, of course, the NDC technology is necessary.
Okay. Thank you. Martin, you said the corporate rates are so important, an important part of your business strategy, and I'm glad that express contracts make such a difference. So it was all worthwhile, our efforts of working together last year. When you look at the developments, when you look back a couple of years, when corporate rates became the rate of the hour for many, many reasons, for many, many airlines, is a large part of their revenue overall the year. How has it changed in a way that we say, we know that we heard this morning about instant responses and instant pricing, and I want instant offers. I don't want to wait that second. How have your corporations and the travel management corporates in your area, how have they changed, and what are they requiring in terms of direct connect, fast answers, and so on?
Certainly, I think they're becoming more demanding. They're becoming more aware of what the capabilities of airlines are these days. They ask. Of course, price is always important to them, and we're seeing a lot of lot of corporates, as I'm sure many people are, trading down and sort of buying the lower end fares, but they still need a system and a support structure to help them, and we still need to incentivize some of the corporates to actually to talk to us. So I think awareness, I would say, is wide now. It's very broad in terms of what the capabilities of airlines are. As we go further into development on ancillaries and everything else, and with Direct Connect, we already have Direct Connect in some circumstances. This speed is important to them, but also efficiency is still important, and particularly in the Middle East, I think quality to some extent is also important as well. So I think it's one of the speakers mentioned earlier about the product being still important. The product is important to a lot of our customers, but only at a price and only at a level of efficiency that we have to achieve as well. And certainly express contracts gives us helps us with that efficiency.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Talking about products and prices, let's return to a very well-known terrain, ancillary revenues. So my general question would be, in a way, how important is the distribution and the management of ancillary revenues, and also the branding of fares within your airlines, and how is it treated in terms of management, in terms of distribution? Edgar?
So obviously, ancillaries it's very important, not only because it's revenue directly to the bottom line. That's a good thing to have, obviously, but also because it gives choices to the customer to create, to tailor, to construct their trip the way they want it. So I think that's what all customers, and especially this new generation, wants to have, is choices, right? So we do use ancillaries. We distribute using ATPICO, and I was very glad this morning to see how advanced the thoughts are in terms of fare distribution. But I would like to just you to think about, this morning we talked about innovation, we saw that ATPICO has had the hackathon, the lab, the innovation lab. Yes. So you guys should think about, what if we don't file fares, fare structures? We file a fare curve. How would that affect the revenue? How would that affect the entire industry? So maybe this is a good topic for your next innovation lab and your hackathon.
Yeah, maybe.
Instead of fare structures, fare steps, fare ladder, why don't we use a fare curve where we have each seat sold for one specific fare? So that's something that I was very surprised with, by the way, with the way there was, and I would like to congratulate for this conference, because it went beyond my expectation. I'm a first timer in the conference, although I'm 31 years in the industry. This is the first time, but I was very pleased.
Wonderful, thank you very much. And I tell you, we missed you the last 15 years. Same question to you, KG. How important is ancillary revenues and branding? How do you tackle this at All Nippon?
Yes, we ANA actually started this year the new a couple of ancillary services. For example, the Keep My Fare, holding the reservation and airfare for a certain period with charges, and bid upgrade or lounge access and so on. And we want to increase the ancillary revenue very aggressively within a couple of years. But such a trend of the expansion of the ancillary services provide airlines with the opportunity to reconsider what is pricing. The essence of the pricing is, needless to say, to set the price and according to the perceived or estimated value to customers, not just much the competitors' fare levels, okay, but such an ancillary revenue, ancillary services, or branded fares, I believe enables airlines to invent more creative and more unique fare products, which will give more value to customers. And in return, we airline will be able to increase our revenue by selling those more unique, more creative, and more valuable fare products. That's why the ancillary revenue is important to us.
Thank you very much. Martin, your airline for a long time has been known as the airline that is bundling. Before you even started unbundling, it was bundled. Everything was in, and that was known for a long, long time. And then you changed directions in a way so that you started to debundle your packages and you came up with your offerings as they are today. During these changes, did you notice that the requirements from customers, once you started with debundling your fares and your products, that the requirements from the passengers became more and more challenging, so that you had to develop special techniques, special strategies to really introduce this into the market and getting it accepted?
We did. I mean, I think we're at a stage, certainly with bundle pricing. We use fare families, and we've had that a number of years now. But as a global airline, we see sort of differences in different markets. Obviously, the European market is quite used to this type of fare product. Less so potentially in the Middle East at the moment, where I think you are seeing a lot of carriers within the Middle East starting to get a lot more involved in terms of what they're doing with their fare bundling to the customers in the United Arab Emirates and to the rest of the Middle East. So things are definitely moving on. We are certainly speeding up our own capabilities in terms of how we file and use ancillaries. We're using optional services and branded fares to distribute our fares. So we are very closely working with ATP capabilities to meet those needs. I think we definitely see the need to be more involved in sort of better use of the systems that are available to us. We're not there yet. We've got a way to go, but we are definitely moving in the right direction. And I would say certainly in the next 12 to 18 months, you'll see probably a lot more happening from Etihad as well as probably other carriers in the Middle East.
Very good. Thank you so much about this. One last question. I think we still got a couple of minutes. With the introduction of ancillary revenues and the branding, the idea of the value of the passenger is always in all our minds when we are creating revenues and managing revenues. To what level, or what extent would you think that the offer and order management of data towards a specific individual passenger is going to be manageable by an airline your size and your size and your size?
I think it all depends on the technology, right, involved. So technology is key, and I think we in other industries have advanced so much, and we have so much available in terms of technology, in terms of processing data, that I don't really think with some people say, oh, there's going to be an issue with response time, or there will be so many different databases that you have to manage and algorithms. I honestly don't think that's an issue. I think that's something that the industry needs to focus on, the individual segmentation and getting the right offer to the right customer, so it can improve the experience of flying. You saw this morning, I mean, the video where 20 minutes delay, it's just like the end of the world for the people who are used to, no, it is indeed, of course, but it's like we want instant things.
Yes.
So that's what I think we should be focused, and we should also focus on fulfilling that need that the customer has to have a good experience when they fly.
Perfect, yes, thank you very much. KG.
Yeah, same as Edward.
Yeah.
Yes, it depends on the technology, but finally the current technology enables us to, as I mentioned, invent the very creative fare product, which reflect to the customers' wants or needs or something like that. So we like to continue the creativity, more creativity, make the most of the such an technology.
Okay, thank you so much, KG. And last but not least, Martin.
I think the same as my colleagues here, really. We're definitely want to be part of the innovation. I think we need to see ATPCO driving a lot of that innovation, and in terms of how you enable airlines to file their ancillaries and to link their ancillaries and distribute to the GDS, but also beyond GDS. I think that's going to be important to us over the next few years, obviously, as we move towards NDC and potentially other aggregators and various other distribution methods. I think we're very keen to use the development to our benefit, but I think we're also watching to some extent to see exactly where it goes. I don't think anybody's 100% clear as to the true direction of the industry and where we'll be in maybe 3 years' time. But I think a lot of it will be based on what the customer demands from us and what the customer wants. What does the customer actually accept? We're innovating, but at the end of the day, it's the customer that will drive the choice. So we are open to flexibility with that, but we do agree that we need you as part of the industry and the industry itself to continue to develop.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.